we've been working on the first tetra. That's the Kaya Anapanasati Satipatthana. That is the first four. Four. That is the one first tetra. Okay? It has got the 8 jnanas, right? 8 knowledges. Right? And last week I was explaining on the fourth one, which is he trains himself. I will breathe in calming bodily formation. He trains himself. I will breathe out calming bodily fabrication. Okay? And unfortunately last week just managed to cover, I hope, on the sankhara, the fabrication only. Okay? So on that fabrication explained or discussed in different aspects of it. Anything that you want to add on, or anything you have a question on that before we move on to the fabrication or sankhara?
How many types of sankharas?
How many types do you think?
As far as I know, there are 3.
What are they?
That can you remind me of the first one? That did I come?
That's a kaya sankhara.
No.
Punyabhi sankhara.
Punyabhi sankhara, apunyabhi sankhara, aninjabhi sankhara.
Yeah.
So this punyabhi sankhara means that we with the punya. Apunyabhi means the unwholesome, and aninjabhi means the meditative mind's dhyana.
Mm.
So what about the arahants? When the arahants, when the thought process comes, what are their thought process called?
That they don't have that thought processes. They call quietened the abhisankharas, right? So there are other sankharas or other formations, okay, sankharas there, and among that there also comes the khanda sankhara, okay, and then comes the kilesa sankhara and abhisankhara as well. And a person who has fully understood, quietened all the sankharas, okay, and that person will not have further sankharas. So in that case,
kriya.
That's a kiriya chitta. Kiriya chitta. Okay, and this is the person who has attained the liberation. That is a person. That is a person called a person who has quietened all the sankharas. So there's basically khanda sankhara been quietened, and then the kilesa sankhara been quietened, and particularly the abhisankhara, which is more defilements. Okay? All the defilements, mainly the greed, hatred, and delusion, and all the other anusaya kilesas, been quietened. And in that state, the arahats, they will just have the ditya seeing, just the seeing. So there won't be any further punya, apunya, or ananyabhi, nothing. Okay? So there will be no wholesome creation, there will be no unwholesome creation, and there will be no further creation to be in further other existence. Okay? So that is the state they will be. Whereas for us, we are always creating further and further in different forms. And when we talk about, now you mentioned that, so in this formation of the sankhara, so when we talk about the punyabhi sankhara, so create wholesome formations, and this wholesome formation again now coming back to the basic principles of, it's called the sila visuddhi, right? Which is the purification of the precepts, So Sila Visuddhi comes there. And in that Sila Visuddhi, basic thing is coming to the 5 precepts, right? So not to harm, not to kill or harm, or not to steal, not to have a sexual misconduct, and not to lie, and not to lie, up to not to lie. Okay, that comes in and then after that there are other 3 for the mental reactions. It's called kusala kamma padas. So from a physical action, what we do, panatipata, killing or harming. Second, adinadana, stealing. Third, kamesu michachara, that is sexual misconduct. So this is unwholesome. Okay, we're talking about unwholesome fabrications. Okay, so killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. So these are the 4 from the bodily action that we do, unwholesome actions. Okay, and in terms of the mental, speech. Okay, that's called vachi sankhara, right? So the verbal fabrication, and that's in a short form, just the one, that's don't lie. Okay, so that is unwholesome. Vachi sankhara. And then the third one is called mano sankhara, right? And that is, what are they? You remember? 3. Kusala karma padas. 3. So akusala karma padas. So 3. There are, the number 1 is covetousness, avidya. Covet, to want to have some others' belonging, want to have. And ill will, a resentment, a vyapad. And then the last one is the vichaditi, the wrong understanding. Okay? So these are the actions that we normally do in a negative way, but in the same time, positive way is not to kill, right? I'm just messed up now.
No, avoid
Yeah, just to jump back to the first one.
avoid everything.
Yeah. So the first one is a wholesome fabrication.
Yeah.
So that is not to do all these what I have said.
Yeah.
And then unwholesome is to avoid or doing it. Okay, so like that, and that is the making further on. Right? So creating, and in that creation, basically we are making something to be. Right? We are making karma, the action. So once we have created, the reaction is there. Right? So the reaction will come. The result will come that we are bound to receive it. Right? So that's called the formation, and that's why we are always doing something. We are always thinking something, always creating something, and that's simply because Buddha used the word asuttava, because we haven't understood yet. If we have understood, we will not be doing those things. We will be stopping there. Arises, know, and stop. Okay? So that's what there is in Sabbhasava Sutta, in Sutta discourse number 2 in the Majjhima Nikaya. It says, knowing, seeing, and then wisely reflecting. So the moment when you know what's happening, right, and seeing that this is happening, and not only knowing, not only seeing is enough, you have to wisely reflect on that this is happening. Then what happens that you will be stopping there. You will be not committing further on. You're not making further on. Right? So that's why the mindfulness is needed. That's why we need to be mindful of every action that we do. Whether that's thinking, thinking is a bit harder one, mostly start from the physical action, and speaking is the basic one. But for the person who has been practicing meditation for a certain period of the time and ability to understand this, then they will be more onto the mental state, because all the physical action and the verbal action are the result of what we think. Okay? So if you are mindful, the way the thought forms, you become aware of that, and you can decide choose to react or choose to stop there. And that stopping is basically after you have understood the cause and effects of your reaction. So then what you are doing, you're not forming anymore, you're stopping there. So you're stopping there. And basically the practice of a mindfulness meditation is to learn to stop further action onto the thing. And in order to satisfy us, that's why we were told to do good things first. Avoid the bad things, do good things first. So with that good thing doing, what happens is that our mind gradually become the malleable one. And eventually it comes to the stage that even these good things will be gone. Because even wanting to do good things is also a form of an extreme. We are making something up, doing something up, making. Fabrication is there. That's why there is always rebirth coming, bhava comes, rebirth coming again and again. That's why there are two extremes at the moment, these days we can see. Number one, they do good things hoping to be reborn in a good place or to gain good fortune. And this part of the extremes, mostly traditional Buddhists in a way, just to categorize it into, doesn't mean only Buddhists, anybody. They are doing good things simply to reborn in heavenly realms or have a good fortune. And they disregard the rest of other practices. So purely onto that, most of the maybe Buddhist is not good one, but the religious one, religious person. And then another extreme that these are not important, just the practice. Just the practice so that I can be liberated. So that's another extreme going on here too. And whichever extreme you go, it won't lead to the success. It won't. Obviously, the first extreme of doing good things to gain the a good life or good fortune, that's not leading to the liberation anyway, because your intention is not there. Whereas the second extreme, in order to gain the benefit and in order to get the advanced practice or understand, you have to have the base, giving. Otherwise you can't. So giving is a part of letting go and then developing this part of the practice. Right? Letting go, you cannot let go if you haven't learned how to give. Right? So if you learn to know how to give, then the practices become much easier. There will be no I want. It will be just there watching, knowing, seeing. Right? So that's why the giving is one thing that's very fundamental part of the practice if you really want to develop your practice of meditation. Otherwise, no, you can't. Like sometimes people give just the sake of a giving. So that is the pure giving. And then other times people give just to maintain their name, maintain their fame, to be loved or something like that. Then that's not true giving. And after giving that, if you meditate, you cannot go anywhere because you are very selfish. With having a selfish, you cannot develop. So that's why it goes together. You have to merge, working together. Only then this will grow. This will grow. The practice will grow. And when this practice grow, then we will be able to understand furthermore how things form and why we are forming things. And what is the reason behind it. So that's why as we develop our practice, even the good things, we will see that, this is the main root that I have to be reborn again and again and suffering again and again. And think about it. You've been working so hard, practicing so hard to be liberated, and somehow these good things take you to rebirth somewhere again, and then in that place, suppose you're reborn, maybe coming back to the human world, and maybe let's say you're reborn in the Buddhist community with lots of people practicing meditation, but somehow condition wasn't good. Will you be able to continue? No. Right? You'll be probably doing something bad again. You cannot make sure that 100% you will be doing good things another one, although you have done, suppose you have done this life. So what happened? You are again going back to the same formation, another creation with that. So that's why the person who has fully understood, then that person will even disregard this good formation. Okay? Like that. So a person who has attained the liberation called sabba sankhara samatho, right? All the sankharas being quietened, and that person is known the a liberated one. So that's why a person who has attained that, there will be no creation of even this good or bad, or forget about the reborning in other heavens. Okay. So this is just the concept of the formation. Okay. Now coming back to the sutta. So kaya sankhara here, we have to remember. I mentioned there are two kayas. Remember, two types of kayas. So breath body and then a flesh body. Okay? And within that breath body and a flesh body, we also have to remember either the breath body or the flesh body. That's still known as the material body, made of material thing. So there's another body which is called the namakaya. In English, maybe a translation would be mental body. Mental body. And this mental body, again, it also includes the mental formation as well. And that's also known, comes into the namakaya. So in the namakaya, actually this is not related here, but just to give you a brief idea. This namakaya, if you look at the khanda, we call khanda, the five aggregates. That's a Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Okay, so there's a matter, feeling, perception, formation, and then the consciousness. Among these five, leave the Rupa, the first one, material. So feeling, perception, formation, and Vijnana, the consciousness. These four are known the Namakaya, or the mental body. Okay, I don't know the translation. Okay, the mental body, and along with that mental body, there comes the mental formation, which is again we will discuss later on the 7th. But here the kaya sankhara, bodily formation. Here, bodily formation is talking about the two things here. The one is the breath, and another one is the body. Okay? So when we talk about the breath, it is talking about the four elements, how the four elements forms a breath. Okay? So the four elements are, remember? What are they? In English. We have a gentleman here who doesn't know yet.
Solid.
What?
Pathavi is the
solids, the viscosity, the air and the heat.
Okay. Earth, water, fire, and wind.
That's easy.
Okay. So these four elements, when comes together, it forms one element, that is the breath. Okay? And that's the same applies to the body too, the flesh body. Okay, this flesh body also has got these four elements too, and this is how it formed. And here this is kind of a physiological study. But in the practice of meditation, we are not going to deeper like that. In the practice, what we are concentrating according to the Anapanasati, when we are practicing, this breath is making this body to form, and then meanwhile this body is making this breath to be formed. So its interrelationship is going on there. How the breath formed, and then the breath is again making this body to form. Right? So that's why on the third one which we discussed, Sabbakaya Patisangvedya, I explained about that one, the relationship that we have to understand. And how we can do that, how we can understand that. So the basic level to understand is, when we are not practicing meditation, our breath is very rough, coarse. Our body also feels very coarse, very heavy, very maybe heavy is the best one, okay? Heavy like that. But when we practice meditation, what happens that as this breath settles and we become mindful of this breath becomes subtler and subtler, and with that subtleness of the breath, it settles the body down as well. Okay? And then the body settles, the breath settles too. So this interrelationship is going on. And this good simile is given, that is, suppose you are running so fast. You're running so fast. And at that time, what happens? Your concentration is only on the breath, not on your body. You are concentrating in your breath. Taking the long deep breaths just to... At that time you are paying attention to the breath. And with that taking the breath coming in like that, eventually the body settles. So now here, breath is forming the body to settle down. Right? And at the same time, this incoming and outgoing breath that we are taking is possible because of the body functioning it to have it. Right? Functioning it to make it. Right? So like that. And this is the creation gradually settles, and that this is, you can observe as you practice meditation, what happens that the breath becomes subtler and subtler and subtler and subtler. It comes at the stage that if you remember, I was guiding, or before the guiding today, mentioned that the state comes that there is no breath. Yeah? And when it comes to there is no breath, not only the breath that you can't see, there is no body too. You cannot observe. You feel like there is no body either. Right? So that's a ability to quietening. So that's why it's called quietening, right? Or tranquilizing the bodily formation. And this is possible only when you are fully absorbed in. So that's why today's instruction I mentioned that you become an observer, because you have settled your awareness onto the one point. You have adapted. So that's called having a sign to practice. Right? So along the few weeks I was explaining to develop that connection, to have the settled mind, counting, following, right? Observing, fixing and connecting, and then having a sign. Having the sign here basically means you are settled in one place. Right? In one place. So you have to be sure that you're really working on that. Then you are settled in there. And when you're settled, your concentration settled on that one particular place, then this sign is not just having that sign of this is the object that I'm working on. You have to develop or maintain your awareness on there too. When you are maintaining awareness on there, then you will be able to recognize the no breath state, no body state. So suppose you're meditating, and there will come a state that mind, body, and this breath becomes so subtle, nothing is there, and you become empty. and sometimes you want to move your fingers to see whether I'm still there. Another time you just want to open your eyes. Another time the thought will come, shall I ask or shall I open my eyes and see what's going on? Like that. So these states will come, and that's basically forming. See here, forming, coming in that state. Now, if there is these states come, and we can maintain our the awareness settled without interrupting, so in that case, actually we are about to enter into the absorptions. And that absorption state, what we are doing is, we are subsiding all the 5 hindrances. With that subsiding hindrances, we are gaining more the concentration. And with that concentration, concentrated mind, what we are getting is the indriyas, the balas. So strength, our confidence develop, willing to work harder. Okay, this is working. Now I need to practice more. So the faith develop more. Practice becomes firm, and then awareness becomes even more greater. Concentration firmly establishes there, and that's how you will also gain the further knowledge, the wisdom. So that's how it comes in that state. They're coming together there. Now, in order to come these factors, so as I said, we have to purify the precepts, sila visuddhi. Have to perfect that one. Then these stages will appear, and with that we can further on to the next stage. Okay, so I think that's enough for today. All right. Anything? Anybody wants to share or put anything on? Okay. So in that case, let's practice loving kindness meditation to finish off.